All right, testing.
All right, testing.
All right, looks like we are live. We are live. All right, folks. Again, I'm using the GoPro again tonight, and I do have a new microphone. It's J-Labs microphone, so hopefully the audio is slightly better than it was last week. At some point, the air conditioning in the apartment is going to go on, and it's going to get kind of loud, so I apologize for that in advance. Yeah, it's hot in Arkansas, so you need to cool the place off. Rather than sit here and sweating from you guys all night, the AC is going to come on. I tried to turn this off when I'm actually making videos, so it is what it is. Anyways, again, this is my normal live show that I do on Saturday nights. I'm shooting with a GoPro Hero 9. We'll get into some GoPro stuff this episode, and I do that because I was using the Cam Link, the Elgato Cam Link for quite some time, and I'm going to take these off. Sounds like the audio is fine. But I was using the Elgato Cam Link for quite some time, and it just quit working on me last week. I was trying to go live last week, and it quit working. So here we are. We are with the GoPro, and I kind of like the GoPro. To be honest with you, it's super simple to use. You just plug it in, you download some software, and you're live. It's a no-brainer. I had this little magnetic thing that I plug on I just magnetize it to my little stand that I've got here going on with all my lights and my cameras and stuff on it that I normally shoot with. And, here we are. So why do I do this show? I do this show because I really like cameras, and I'm also here because I want to be able to have discussions and be able to talk. Eventually, we'll have some more viewers in here. These get a lot of views after the fact. It seems like every week they're getting more and more views. So we'll see kind of how this one goes, and maybe we'll have some live viewers. And I understand it's Saturday night. People aren't really wanting to watch a live stream on YouTube on Saturday night. They're wanting to watch the college football games, or now I'm watching the NASCAR race over here. So I understand, and it's fine. Again, if you have any questions or anything like that, I want to address some questions too. I'm going to address some comments from now on in the live stream. So later in the episode. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So the very first thing I want to talk about today is finally there's some rumors, folks. And actually, wait. For the new Sigma 70-200 FE coming. Now, one of the great things I think that puts Sony and Panasonic in some aspects ahead of companies like Canon and Nikon right now are the fact that you can get excellent third-party Sigma lenses. Currently, you can get, for both mounts, the 14-24 f2.8 and then the 70-200. As a matter of fact, here's the 24-70 f2.8 on my Panasonic S5. Beautiful lens. I fully intend to pick up this lens for Sony in the future. I have the A7C here, and I do in 100%. I've got money set aside right now for when we finally may get a Sony A7 IV. Who knows when that's going to be, but sounds like potentially October. But with those two lenses, there's typically people talk about the holy trinity of cameras, right? And that's an ultra wide zoom. Typically they're 16-35s, f2.8s. In Sigma's case is 14-24, which it's fine. It is what it is. And then a 70 or 24-70, that's a staple. And then a 70-200. Sigma has not had a 70-200 for their mirrorless systems yet. And a lot of people are saying, this is the one that everybody wants. Give me a 70-200. Because comparatively, the majority of these 70-200, Sony branded ones, Canon branded ones, even the Panasonic branded 70-200 f2.8, they're all over $2,000, right? And not everybody wants to spend $2,000 on a lens. You know, and I understand. Here's the thing. One great thing about third-party lenses, and this is something that like Canon and Nikon are like seriously lacking in, is oftentimes when you are thinking of like, okay, well, I'd like to get whatever focal length lens, right? I don't need that lens to be like an everyday type of lens. I just need it occasionally. So say, call it a 50 millimeter 1.8 or 50 millimeter lens. Say you need a 50 millimeter lens and you have Canon RF mount. Canon's got their, it's $200 right now, their RF 51.8. That's probably the lens majority of people are going to go for, because you look at the 51.2, beautiful lens, it's far superior. But if I don't necessarily need a 50 millimeter for like a daily use, if I'm not going to use it all the time, I don't really want to spend $2,000 on it. I want to spend $200 on it, right? So when it comes to third-party lenses, you know, the 70-200 f2.8 Panasonic branded lens is double the price of this one. And the majority of people out there, now I've never used the 70-200 f2.8, so I can't tell you my thoughts on it. But the majority of what I hear out there is there's almost no difference in the 70-200 f2.8 Panasonic lens and the 70-200, 24-70 f2.8 Sigma lens. So you see a lot of people that are out there, like I see a lot of rumors out there when they start talking about, oh, there's a new lens coming from Sigma. We don't know what it is. And everybody in the comments is, we want a 24-70 f2.8. Well, finally, folks, we may be getting one. Now, I'll read this rumor to you. It says, back in February, Sigma CEO hinted that a 70-200 f2.8 lens would come. We haven't heard anything about this until now. One source now appears to have gotten some info about the lens. All he sent me was a weight. It says 1,050 grams, super lightweight. No idea when it will be announced, but I guess that if his info is correct, the lens should be announced within the end of the year. So potentially before the end of 2021. We may be getting a Sigma 70-200 f2.8. And I think it'll be very well received, especially because we may be getting a new Sony lens. It could be potentially a 33 megapixel camera. And I think that it's going to be a really, really hot seller. And if you can get the Holy Trinity now through the Sigma, I mean, you think about it, like, you could buy two for the price of one, really. I mean, the Sony Sony 16 to 35 f2.8, I think you can really get it on sale for like $2,100 or $2,200 right now. But I think that the retail price is like almost $2,400, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. And I think, you know, you can get the Sigma 14 to 24 for $1,300. It's always used on Adorama right now. The 14 to 24 for about a little under right around $1,200. 24 to 70 f2.8 is $1,100 lens, brand new. So I mean, you're looking at buying those two lenses for the price of just the 24 to 70 Sony branded one or Panasonic branded one. So you can get two lenses, two of the Trinity lenses for the price of one. It's a really good deal. And Sigma lenses are really good, folks. They really are. I have no issues with Sigma lenses. I wish they would come out for Canon RF. I wish they'd come out for Nikon Z. I don't think I'd ever buy a Nikon Z camera, but for those out there that want Nikon cameras, sorry, the air conditioner is about to come on. For those of you that have Nikon Z cameras, having a Sigma lineup of lenses, I'm sure would be very welcome. However, now you do have that like adapter thing, so you can adapt E-mount lenses to, and it's just like a little, it's almost like the size of a coin almost. It's very thin. Adapter, so you can adapt E-mount glass to your Z camera now. So pretty awesome. So you could technically get this 24 to 70 for the Z mount, but we'll see. So earlier this month, now I've been lacking. If you see my hat here, I got a job. I now work for Sig Sauer. I'll just shoot photos and videos. I also like to shoot guns. I won't do a gun channel because I'm not really that into guns. I just like to go shoot occasionally. Matter of fact, I don't even currently have any, but that will change very soon, I promise you. So I moved back to Arkansas. I've been overseas in England and Korea. I couldn't really bring guns over there, so I will have some very soon. Anyways, now a few weeks ago, I did a video on the Panasonic GH6 talking about the potential for the GH6 being L mount. Now, I got a lot of heat on that one. That's fine. People can have their opinions. I just want it to be, personally. I would love to see it be an L mount. I just would. I would love to see it be an APS-C camera. I know it's not. I would love to see an L mount APS-C camera. Whether we ever will, who knows? But it would be nice. But anyways, an FT5 GH6 will be released. FT5 means it's pretty likely, I believe, if I'm saying corrected. It'll be released in Q1. So I think when the original announcement came out, they had said that they were going to release this camera before the end of the year. Obviously, with this chip shortage thing, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, and maybe it'll be a problem well into next year. I've heard talk of that it's going to be a problem until around 2023. And that sucks. It is what it is, but it sucks because that could push out the A7 IV, which is a camera I have money set aside for right now, and I am ready to purchase the minute that it goes out, that it comes out. Sony is my camera brand of choice. I have this. I have the Panasonic S5 right now because, to me, this is as close to the A7 IV as you can get without being an A7 IV currently. That would have been the R6. But I really like Sigma lenses. That really is what it comes down to. Like, I want to have the Canon R6 with a 24-70, but I don't want to pay $5,000 for it. I mean, this was under $3,000, or right around $3,000. Oh, actually, if I bought it just like this, it'd be under $3,000. And the Canon R6 would be, with the 24-70 Canon RF lens, would be over $5,000. $2,300 for the lens, $2,500, just under $5,000 for that. But anyways, GH6 Q1 2022, we hope. And it says it will include some sort of hybrid autofocus system. So we may still have depth from defocus autofocus system, the contrast-based autofocus system that's plagued Canon or Panasonic cameras since the beginning of time. But perhaps we may also have some sort of phase detection autofocus system in there. Panasonic has done well with their autofocus system. I mean, they've improved it. It's nowhere near Sony. It's nowhere near Canon. It may never be that way. Those guys have such a huge advantage over them, meaning they've been doing it for years. It's not a money thing. It's more of a, I'm sure it is a money thing too, but in some cases. However, I think it's more of a, we've been doing it for years, so you got a long way to go to catch up to us. So if this happens, so far with the information we have is a new image sensor, a new processor, 422 10-bit DCI 4K at 60p, unlimited video recording, 10-bit 4K at 120 frames per second, high frame rate VFR, variable frame rate video recording. So like probably a slow and quick mode, basically. Under the 4K 120, it will probably be in a slow and quick mode, meaning it won't have any audio. So you shouldn't be able to record audio. But I love the slow and quick mode because you can quickly change it from slow motion to a time lapse, change it to 1 frame per second. You got a time lapse, change it to 120 frames per second. And now you have some slow motion. I love slow and quick mode. I think it's a great thing. And then 10-bit 5.7K 60p video recording. Now, I don't know if that's going to have unlimited video recording. There's specifically says under the DCI 4K, it's going to have unlimited recording. So I'm thinking probably in the 5.7, there will be some sort of limitations to it. Obviously, we don't want this camera to burn up on us. So potentially a GH6 with a hybrid autofocus system. Maybe finally Panasonic might go with some sort of phase detection autofocus system. It says I'm sure Panasonic will share more GH6 specs this autumn, but with the worldwide chip shortage, it's very likely you will get the camera in your hands by early 2022 only. I guess hybrid autofocus means we can expect to get both phase and contrast detection autofocus system. This would be just awesome. I hope that, you know, I've heard rumors recently, and I'm going to discuss this in a video probably this week. The Panasonic S1H Mark II. I've heard rumors about that now. Seen some rumors about it now. And, you know, with the Canon R5, Canon R3, and the A7S and A1 coming out that have been released in the recent years, I think almost we're already talking that the S1H is already kind of outdated. Granted, it does have good quality 6K video, but I mean, this thing is pretty much the same thing in a smaller form factor, and that's supposed to be the video beast, you know. And you're looking at the $3,800 price tag on that one. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could get a S1H Mark II with a hybrid autofocus system, potentially phase detection autofocus, and some different frame rate options? Because like currently, I think the 4K maxes out at 60. No, I don't know. It does. It would be pretty awesome. I'm sure nobody would disagree with me on this, that it would be cool if it had similar specs to the A7S III, as well as, you know, higher 8K. It's going to have 8K because it's got to compete with the A1. It's got to compete with the R5, Canon R5. So S1H Mark II, we will see if that actually comes out. I don't know when. I think that, to be honest with you, I think before we see an S1H Mark II, I think we'll see S1 Mark II and S1R Mark II. Maybe. I think, you know, Canon and Nikon both came out with their full frame mirrorless cameras in 2018. Panasonic followed them up in 2019. In 2020, we got Mark II versions of Nikon's Z6 and Z7. That may have been earlier this year. I can't remember the exact time frame that the Z6 and Z7 Mark II came out. It might have been late last year or early this year, off the top of my head. And then I know the R5 and the R6 both came out in 2020 as kind of like the second iteration of their RF mount cameras. So it's probably early next year, I would expect new versions of the Panasonic full frame cameras, potentially. So I wouldn't be surprised to see S1 and S1R Mark IIs before we see S1H Mark II. I don't know. We'll see. The L mount rumor page doesn't really get updated all that often. As a matter of fact, I don't believe the 70-200 that I talked about earlier in the show tonight, the 70-200 Sigma lens, F2.8, that could be potentially out before the end of the year. I don't think it's even announced on the L mount rumors website. So, but if it's going to come out for E mount, it's also going to come out for L mount. I'm pretty sure. At the same time, I was down in Texas a few weeks ago, and I found a camera store. I think it was in Dallas, if I remember correctly, because I was in San Antonio and Dallas. I was in Dallas, and I was looking at one of the camera stores, and it seemed like everything that was L mount was like heavily discounted at this one store, and is either they were going to stop selling L mount at their store, just specifically at their store, or times are tough in these days, man. Times are tough in these days. And, you know, maybe Panasonic may look at this as a failed opportunity and just stop making S-line cameras or full frame cameras and go back to Micro Four Thirds. They haven't done well. That's just the way it is. I mean, they're great cameras. I love this camera. This is my favorite camera I've ever owned, the S5. But are they competing at this point with Canon and Nikon? No. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if they've already sold more GH5 Mark IIs this year than they have S1s, S5s. And to be honest with you, the S5 is superior camera to the GH5 Mark II. However, the lens options at L-mount are extremely limited at this point, and it doesn't seem like there's a huge amount of lenses on the horizon when it comes to that. When you go look at the Micro Four Thirds, there's a complete lineup, and they just came out with that 25 to 50 f1.7. The 10 to 25 f1.7 is not all that old. Beautiful lenses. Olympus is about to come out with a new couple of lenses. I think they're coming out with some new cameras. I would talk about those rumors, but it's just been, there's supposed to be some wow cameras, all I heard. There's no specs on it or anything like that. But when I find more, of course, I'll have videos on that. Olympus cameras. We'll see when that actually happens. Earlier this week, the Canon R3 was announced. So I think this is a super exciting camera, personally. But at the same time, I don't think this is the flagship, folks. I just don't think this is the flagship camera. I still expect there to be an R1. I do. I really do expect there to be an R1. Now, this camera is a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. The photography features on this thing are just out of this world. Like, I don't know, some stupid mechanical shutter, 30 frames per second shooting, up to 150 frames in RAW, 540 frames in JPEG. Oh, that's the electronic shuttle, mechanical cut shutters, 20. I mean, this is going to be one amazing sports camera. 12-bit RAW video, 6K video at 60 frames per second. 422 10-bit video, up DCI 4K, up to 120 frames per second. Good Lord, this is a beautiful camera. $6,000, folks, $6,000. But I just don't think this is the flagship. I think this is a camera that is very similar, in my opinion, to the Canon EOS R, the original, right? I think that Canon has done this transition to mirrorless better than any other system out there right now. Better than better than Nikon, and better than Panasonic. And I say this because they came out with a set of really, really amazing lenses to start with and a feeler camera, right? That's what I consider the R to be. Hey, this is a camera. Let's just see what people think of it. Let's put it out there. We'll put some decent specs in it, but nothing like super spectacular. But we'll put out an amazing set of lenses over the couple of years. And man, they just hit the ground running with beautiful lenses, lens after lens after lens after lens after lens. It seemed like for the last couple of years, it was like every couple of months, Canon was coming out with a new lens or two. Nikon was doing the same, but they came out with their technically professional cameras right from the start. Their Z6 and Z7. Hey, this is our home run swing, the Z6 and Z7. When Canon was more like, hey, let's just put out something that's, let's see what people think. Let's get a couple of people that are on our DSLRs to transfer over and see what they think of this camera. And I think that's what we're seeing with this. This is going to try to get a couple of people who are 1DX shooters, pro photographers, to come over and see what this whole mirrorless system is all about. It's going to be as pro as we can make it, of course. It has amazing specs. It is a great camera. But I also think that, it doesn't really, in some aspects, it doesn't really compete with like the A1. In some aspects, it doesn't compete with the R5. R5 will shoot 8K video. 40 or 50 megapixel sensor in the R5. I think you're going to see an A1 or a R1 in the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years down the road, that will be the actual flagship. You'll never see an R3 Mark II. And I think the R1 will someday be the flagship, and it'll be the most freaking ridiculous camera that you've ever seen in your life. And with that being said, I think currently the R3 is just a feeler camera, an amazing feeler camera. Don't get me wrong. But I also say, I think like a lot of professional photographers, and I understand why they did this. The 1DX never had any kind of tilting screen on at all, because professional photographers use, people who are buying 1DXs will use the EVF, or not EVF, but OVF on DSLR. So this is going to get people getting used to using the EVFs. But you put a fully articulating screen on it. And this was also to kind of sell to the video guys out there, because I don't think a lot of people that are buying, while the 1DX Mark III does make amazing video, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's that many video guys. I think a lot of the video guys, because video just kind of came on over the last couple of years, and most of these guys are going mirrorless anyway. For the majority of people that I see watch videos, they were always going mirrorless right from the start. So they were going with, the R3, or sorry, the R6, Sony A7 series cameras to make their videos, Panasonic to make their videos. And this is going to get a lot of these guys that are, sorry, the AC's coming back on now. My air conditioning is so loud in this apartment, but it is what it is, fine. I wouldn't be surprised to see an R1 come out without any kind of fully articulating screen. So maybe we will see an R3 Mark II. This will be kind of like the super hybrid. And then the R1, when it does finally come out, because this is priced lower than the 1DX Mark III. The 1DX Mark III, I think, is $6,500 still. And this is only $6,000. I mean, it's still really expensive. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't buy it. If I won the lottery, I'd have 10 of them. But I mean, with the amount of money I make now, I wouldn't. This isn't something I'm in the market for. I'm interested in. Like I said, if I had the money, if somebody gave it to me, I definitely would use the shit out of it. But I mean, that's not going to happen. But yeah, the Canon R3, I think this is going to be an amazing camera. I just don't think it's going to be. It's considered the flagship now, but I don't think it's the end all flagship. I think you'll see a R1 at some point. R1X, whatever they want to call it. So yeah. Earlier this week, also on the same day the Canon, actually it was the day after the Canon, maybe a day or two after the Canon, it was the 16th, the GoPro Hero 10 was announced. A few things man, they put one hefty price tag on this thing. Now, if you buy it from the GoPro website, you can get it much cheaper. I actually bought one already. It's in the mail, being shipped. I think I paid $433, including tax. I also got the 1-year subscription, so I actually only paid like $350 plus tax for the camera. But if you buy it without the subscription, you got to pay $400 for it. And I actually think retail price, according to the website, is $550 for the GoPro. I've seen a bunch of videos on this thing, and man, I'll tell you what. So here's my thought on GoPro. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, and I have another YouTube channel called CJ Abroad. And this is where I document things, right? I just film the things that I get to do with my life. I don't really care if people watch it or not. It's just something that I use YouTube as almost a storage facility, so I don't ever have to lose the footage if I don't want to. Computers crash, hard drives crash, you save stuff to certain drives, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. That's not going to happen with YouTube. If I store a video there and people watch it, and cool. If they don't, then cool. I like to document the things that I get to do. I don't necessarily call it vlogging, if you will, but I call it documenting. A video documentary of the things that I got to do when I go on vacation. Like I don't look at like taking photos on vacation as like the real thing. Because when you take a photo, you're framing it up right, you're getting the lighting right, you're getting the right angle. You're getting the best of everything. When it's video, everything's just so super raw. And to be honest with you, I bought the ZV-E10, beautiful little camera. I don't think it can stay in the same room as a GoPro as far as that type of camera. Now, other than low light situations, I think GoPros are. Thank you, Jamil. Says, appreciate your videos, bro. I recently got into the camera thing. Just got the ZV-E10 and the Tamron 11-20. Hold on just a second. So did I. I love this. This is a great combination. You made a great choice. Yeah. But the stabilization and stuff is good. But the GoPro, man, like, I think everybody who's into video and into photography, whatever level you're in, I think GoPros are essential. I'm on the GoPro 9 live streaming right now. I mean, it serves so many functions, and I will buy every GoPro that comes out from now on. Period. Not the 360 ones, but the regular GoPros. From now on, like, no doubt about it. I love these things. Now. The video specs on this thing now, 4K 120, 5.3K 60 frames per second, this new GP2 processor, the Hypersmooth 4.0. The stabilization on this new GoPro is just like out of this world, like better than gimbals. Unbelievable. Some of the footage that I've seen. Like, man, they got the video, and the thing is like attached to like a shock on a dirt bike, and it's just glides. It just glides. It's amazing. These new GoPros are just... Again, low light situations, that is what this is for. You can't, this is going to smoke the GoPro no matter what. It's got a way bigger sensor. You got F2.8 lens on here. Beautiful little setup right here. If you're going to get into like, and then again, studio type situations like this, you're definitely going to want this. Now, I use the GoPro because it's super easy to live stream. Sorry about that. It's easier to live stream with the GoPro. You have to have other equipment to kind of live stream with this. Actually, I do. You can download software to live stream directly with this. And maybe I will do that in the future. But you got to buy other equipment because you got to be able to charge the battery in this. The laptop is charging the battery in the GoPro currently. So I could sit here and live stream until 2 o'clock in the morning, and we could talk cameras all night long. And it's not going to bother me. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to get into documenting your life, I don't think you can beat a GoPro. Especially if you're doing a lot of stuff outside, traveling, stuff like that, man. I have the new GoPro coming. I'll do some videos on it when it does. I'll compare the 9 and the 10. I'll be doing a bunch of different videos. I do work a lot right now, so the videos are going to be a little bit slower. I pretty much have one day off a week now. Love it. But, yeah. Our last topic of the night is about the iPhone 13 Pro Max. This is another tool that I think is great for documenting your life. And I specifically say Apple iPhones over Android. Personal decision. Nothing against like Samsung or any of these other camera phone companies. They make great products too. I like Apple iPhones. I have the 12 Pro Max here because I use Final Cut Pro. I have the MacBook Pro here, and AirDrop is like my favorite thing that has happened to this type of industry ever. I love AirDrop because I can take videos and footage and I just send it to my phone. I don't have to connect nothing. I don't need to, or send it to my computer to be able to edit. I don't have to do anything else to it. It's just so convenient. Just so convenient. And yeah. So we have new iPhones this week. They kept the same price. They have a different blue color. I don't really care about the colors. Same screen size, but let's get into the cameras. There's been some improvements to the cameras. Let me get to a better page where I can kind of run down the highlights. Doing its thing. Stupid animations. So it's going to have, anyway, a better ultra-wide camera, which is the one I mainly use. I will better low light, which these things are stupid amazing in low light. One thing that I wish that I had done, so years ago I got to go to Iceland and see the Northern Lights. And here's a little bit of a story. This is a podcast, a live video podcast, so I may just kind of ramble on about different things that I've kind of run into, tell a lot of stories. So maybe sometimes interesting, maybe sometimes it won't be interesting. Sometimes I'll just talk about news, sometimes I will tell stories, and this is a story. I went to Iceland back in 2017, and I went there with a Sony A5100. Now this is the ZV-E10, but I went there with an A5100, and one of my favorite Sony cameras of all time, folks. I don't know what it was about that camera, but it was amazing. But anyways, I go out and I'm taking photos of the Aurora Borealis. Sorry, the Northern Lights. And this Chinese guy is out there with this Canon 5D Mark III 24-70 f2.8 lens on there, and like at the time probably $4,500 setup, and I had a $500 A5100 with me, and I didn't realize that he didn't really know what he was doing. I thought, hey, you got a big camera, you must know what you're doing, but he really just had money and didn't know what he was doing. So I go out there and I take these beautiful photos of this kit lens, 16-50 kit lens. If I can bring them up, I'll show you at least one of the photos I took. If I still have it in my Instagram. No, I guess I didn't have it. Son of a bitch. I never put it in my Instagram. Damn it. Anyways, took this really nice photo of the Northern Lights with a $500 camera. And this dude just gives me this nasty look because he's not getting anything. And I also went out there with a 77D with a Sigma 17-70 f2.8-4. Nice little lens too. And I was having a hell of a time getting exact same settings. Could not get the Northern Lights with it. And the Sony was just nailing it every shot. I don't know what the hell it was doing. Even the exact same settings, the same aperture, same everything. Couldn't get it with the Canon, and he couldn't get it with his Canon either. He didn't know what he's doing. But funny story. But anyways, what I was getting to, sorry. The low light capabilities of the iPhone are just out of this world. Now, I'll show you one photo. Now, again, I'm showing you on a GoPro from my phone. So it is going to be kind of, so this photo right here is taken in Spain, in the Canary Islands, Gran Canaria, with an iPhone 11. Was not a professional camera, and it took that light and just made that tiny little lamp. And if you could see the actual area, it was just a tiny little lamp, and it just literally just blew up the whole area, lit up the whole area. And came out with this photo. You can actually see the clouds. You can see the clouds up there, like in this area. You couldn't see those clouds like in real time. And this lamp was just a dim little light. And that was the iPhone 11. Just the standard iPhone 11, wasn't even the Pro or anything like that. And it did all that. These cameras on these just make photography just so much easier. Will make you a better photographer. Will make you make better photos. Now, with that being said, just take this, keep that. It's only going to look good on that screen. If I sent you this thing to go blow up on your, 30-inch monitor, it would look like shit. We know that. But the fact is if I wanted to just show you photos on Instagram, which is pretty much all I do photography with, if I showed you that would be easier. Also with the video thing, which is kind of a bummer. I watched MKBHD's video on this, and he was like the same thing. They have this new cinematic mode, and it has like nice focus pulls and stuff, but it tops out at 1080p, 30 frames per second. It would be nice to see a firmware update on that to get it to 4K. I think that's kind of really dumb that they did it in 1080p to max. This is 2021, and pretty much nothing is in 1080p anymore. Well, local television is in 1080p, I believe. Like standard definition, I guess. But yeah, new iPhones this week. I'm going to go down to the Apple store next weekend and see what they'll give me for my 12 Pro Max and potentially buy the iPhone 13 Pro Max. but we'll see what they give me for it. If I walk in there, because I mean, online I can see what they're going to give me, but if I walk in there and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you $200 less," I'm like, "You can kiss my, whatever." So, well, folks, I think that's about it for tonight. We had a nice little show, a lot of talking, a lot of discussion. I really hope you enjoy your ZV-E10. I think you're gonna. This 11 to 20 lens. I did a video a week and a half ago or so about the lenses. At the time, I didn't really say much about this 11 to 20. I think other than the Samyang 12 millimeter that I talked about, it was the only lens on that list that I had never owned. So 2 of the 7 lenses that were on there, I think I never owned. And I was like, well, the 16 millimeter 1.4 is probably my favorite lens of all time, but I don't necessarily need 1.4, right? I don't need 1.4. And that's a, prime lens, it's a single focal length. You can't really change. You get what you get, right? So I was like, maybe it's just better if I get a 11 to 20. And I did. 2.8 is perfectly fine for me, and I'm pretty happy with this. So anyways, that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys. I got some videos, probably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday videos this week, and then live streams on Saturday nights. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to see some other videos that I do, you can search for CJ Abroad on YouTube, CJ space Abroad on YouTube. And you can see all the videos that I do with other cameras and stuff that I own. So as I travel around Arkansas and stuff. So y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.